Well, hello everyone, and I do apologize for this ridiculous banner. Obviously, that is what we've got coming up for you right now. But you know who I am. Welcome once again to the Coaches Corner, and welcome to our continued coverage of the ICC Women's 2020 World Cup, all the way from the gorgeous land of South Africa. And this is a Group 1 clash between South Africa and New Zealand. Both teams have, of course, lost their opening matches, but with New Zealand being on the wrong end of an absolute pasting by Australia, I think this a win today for them will probably at least help them climb up the standings. But of course, their run rate is going to be a bit of an issue. Now, interesting team news is that South Africa have won the toss and have opted to bat first. And I will, in fact, share the team news with you all right now. And we see both teams about to. They're walking out onto the field. South Africa led by Suni Loose, the young South African captain and all rounder. And basically, it's unchanged for South Africa with Wolvaart and Tasmin Brits, the openers. Maria Zancap and Suni Luz at 3 and 4. Chloe Tyron and Delmi Tucker at 5 and 6. And Nadine de Klerk at number 7. So 5 all-rounders in the South African team. Sinalo Jafta is the wicketkeeper and 3 bowlers in the spinner Shabnim Ismail, Ayabonga Khaka and Nonkululeko Mlaba. There is one change for New Zealand. Hannah Rowe is out, so Georgia Plimmer comes in as a middle order batsman. And we're just about to have the national anthems right now, so I will mute my microphone and stand for a bit. Yes, people, and that was the anthems. God Defend New Zealand for the White Ferns, as they're affectionately called, and for the Springboks, the Lady Springboks, that is, Nkosi Sikeleli Africa. And a nice piece of trivia for many of you, I'm sure you'll know, that Nkosi Sikeleli Africa is a combination of the traditional African anthem by that same name, and also the Stem van Zuid-Afrika, which was the Afrikaans and English version of the anthem, the Call of South Africa, back in the day. So the first verse is sung in Xhosa, second in Ndebele, third will be in Afrikaans, and the fourth will be in English. And I see Mr. Trollip is joining us. He will obviously come on very soon. I think he's already here, but he will be on the screens very soon. Now, of course, the New Zealand anthem, same verses, same melody, but sung first of all in Maori and then in English. And as I'd mentioned, there is one change in the New Zealand 11. Hannah Rowe is out, which means that Georgia Plimmer, the middle order batter or batswoman, as would normally be said, will come in. Otherwise, it's as you were. Susie Bates is captaining the team and now has the job of fielding. Actually, it's Sophie Devine who's captaining. My bad. Susie Bates, I believe, was the former captain. Buzendout. I'm not too sure that's how you'd pronounce it, but whatever. Amelia Kerr, Maddie Green, Hayley Jensen, Leah Tauhu, Jess Kerr, Eden Carson, and Fran Jonas comprise the playing 11. And Lou's obviously wanting to use the pitch before it slows down any further with the double-headed days. And of course, double-header means that there was a match earlier today. And of course, Sophie Devine, had she had won the toss, would have batted first as well. There was a match played earlier today, a nice little clash across the Irish Sea between Ireland and England earlier on in the day. Now, what should have been a more straightforward match, it must be said, was turned into a little bit of a nail biter with some pretty poor England batting near the end, eventually winning by 4 wickets, chasing down a total of 105. Yeah, the target was 106, and they got there with just less than 6 overs remaining, but wickets falling in a clump near the end, not something that they would be happy with. And so we have the South African openers coming out to bat already, a wonderful warm afternoon or early evening in Paarl, the heart of the wine country in South Africa, in the Western Cape. And it will be Eden Carson in her, I want to say, 10th or 11th match, who'll open the bowling. Right arm seamer. It is Tamsin Brits and Laura Wolvaert who will be opening the batting. Eden Carson will be batting at 10 in case she is ever needed. Obviously, Tamsin Brits, with her experience, is expected to provide some solidity at the top of the order, as is Wolvaert. And so it will be Eden Carson to kick off proceedings. I believe it's going to be right arm medium fast or fastish medium. And she'll be bowling. Well, apparently she's standing close to the umpire. It could be a case of spin coming into the attack. It is indeed spin. Right arm over the wicket. Wolvaert plays it all the way down to mid-on for a single. Gets off strike. Let's take a look at Eden Carson right now. Yep, an off spinner with an action which isn't too unlike a leg break bowler. And the logic here is that with South Africa losing 20 of their last 24 wickets to spin, opening
South Africa.
And Brits plays that once again down to long on. It is fielded by the number 5, Green. I want to make sure I have her full name right. Maddie Green is her name, and she'll be one of the all-rounders. Hannah, good to see you. How are you?
Yes, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get our first one under the belt.
Yeah, powerful shot there by Volvart, but straight to Kerr, who feels that all the way all the way in the deep there. And a rather sedate beginning, and obviously Sophie Devine's decision to open with the spin of Carson. And do we have an LBW shout? Yes, we have our first wicket. Not really.
That's
well, yeah, I think they're discussing whether to review that. Does Brits go for the review? 4, 3. Yep, she's gone for the review with 2 seconds on the clock left. And we're going to take a look at this delivery right now. To me, it looks as though she is plumb, but if there is an edge, of course, it will save her. And Hanno, you can take a look through this delivery.
Away or she's gone.
Yeah.
Nah. So, for me, that's either turning away or hitting a straight on. And she spins the ball.
Yeah. It's going
right
straight
into the stance, and maybe a bit of glove, but that's it. Unless there's a bit of glove to save her, that's plumb.
No. Yeah.
No edge.
Plumb as plumb can be.
Plumb. That's
so some brilliant captaincy there from
wickets.
Yeah.
Ball tracking. It's a low. Yeah, that's out. That's gone.
Talk about a wasted
review, huh? You like. Yeah, wasted. I think Wolfart just were.
No, that was Brits who got out. What was Wolfart saying?
Yeah, but I think Wolfart told Brits, like, just maybe if there is something, review it. That looked plumb to me.
Yeah, you saw there that you saw there that there was a huge gap between both the glove and the ball, so there was hardly any chance of her really, getting any kind of an edge on that, which would have saved her really. And a player of her experience should know better. Now we've got Danny Van Niekerk's spouse, Marizanne Kapp, who comes in at number 3. And it looks as though this decision to open with the spin bowling of Carson is a masterstroke, really, by Devine. What would you say?
Yeah, seems so far so good for New Zealand.
Yep. And the 5th ball of the over is played all the way to mid-off there, who's able to feel that quite well. Taking a look at the delivery again, Brits had no chance, did she?
Yeah, I think wrong choice of selection, wrong shot selection.
Yeah, well, this shot is played all the way by Kapp, who's come in all the way down to mid-on for a single, and at the end of the first over, South Africa are 4 for 1.
Yeah, 4
so
for
I
1.
think we'll probably just update the score at the end of every over. Yeah,
over by over. Yeah,
exactly, that's how we did it.
4 for 1 1 over.
1 over, not overs. I keep forgetting it, but I mean, there's a part of me that doesn't mind making a few mistakes. It's a reminder that we're human, but at the same time, I've got to be professional. We're people in the chat, Two Blues podcast, good to see you.
And Hashim, good to see you again.
Well. Very reminiscent of, and now we've got Kerr, right arm.
Beautiful shot.
Yep.
Right to the fielder.
Yep.
That is a good shot.
Jess Kerr, right arm, medium fast-ish over the wicket. It sort of reminds me of the 1992 World Cup played in New Zealand when Martin Crowe, who was captain, I believe, opted to open the bowling with the off-spinner Deepak Patel and asked Mark Greatbatch and company to open the innings and blasted to all corners of the ground. So clearly, Loose winning the toss, opting to bat first, and Divine saying that she would have batted first. But now this move to open with spin has been a bit of a game changer. Does she continue with the spin, though?
Yeah, it's going to put in a tough situation because you want to get wickets as early as possible, but you also want to save her. Maybe give her another over and see if she gets a wicket, and that in that over, then then you can let
and
once
again, Cap struggling to get to play Kerr effectively, but that is a wide delivery
over the top and 4 runs. Get in.
Yeah, Marizanne Cap giving that ball the treatment it deserved. As commentators would say, that was shortish, that was wide, and it had hit me written all over it. And Marizanne Cap just said, "Yeah, bedanke," and sent that over the infielders. It's still in the batting power play. That went all the way over Gully for 4. And Cap now playing fluently, but sent back to position by the cover fielder. Actually, that didn't go over Gully. That sort of went, you could say, over the gap between Gully and point almost. But good shot nonetheless. 5 balls gone, 4 dot balls, 1 boundary, and Cap is batting out of her crease. Not too often you see batters coming out of their crease. And that goes to extra cover. Who deals with that? What did you say?
She's standing very far out of her crease. Very far, but yeah. Now it's going to be interesting. Does the New Zealand captain, does she go for spin again from the other?
But of course, now South Africa 8 for 1 and a somewhat sedate beginning. I think so far, the teams that have managed to take the most wickets and really bowl well have been those who have stuck to their line, not bowled short, not bowled wide. And if you're a spinner, you can't afford to bowl too straight. Otherwise, it's down the track and out you go. Danny van Niekerk, most runs for South Africa in T20 World Cup tournaments. And now she's made another bowling change with Tahuhu coming in. And that wasn't really the best delivery to bowl. But fortunately, that is played all the way to deep backward square leg for a single. Leah Tahuhu, right arm fast medium, 32 years old. 67 wickets with an economy rate of just above 6 and a strike rate of under 20.
Yeah,
an average of under 20.
They need to get it going on this over.
And poor delivery, that straying down the leg, and Cap sends that all the way to the fine leg boundary for 4. And
4 runs.
South African fans in the stadium are quite happy with that. And New Zealand will need to be careful. They've got to maintain their line. That could very well have been... Unfortunately, Cap did get an edge onto that. Otherwise, that could very easily have been 4-leg buys.
Yeah. And even a wide.
But that's high in the air.
Up in the air. And gone. And I think we'll update just the score after a wicket, and I'll just update the score. Oh, and it's gone darkness. So yeah, and not the best shot selection there from Marizanne Cap. Short ball. As soon as she hits it, she turned around and was angry at herself. She goes for 9 after 10 balls. Money's not there. We'll probably come back in a few minutes. Disappointing from from South Africa. But now the captain comes to the crease. Sinead Loose, yeah. Comes to the crease. I believe she's the captain, I might have been mistaken. She comes to the crease. Now, 3 balls remaining in this over, and shot played there straight to the fielder at square leg. So we look at Sinead average of 21 over 1,000 runs. Just see this wicket ball again. Pitched up short. Wanted to play it cross bat, and as soon as she screams no, and this ball Sinead just defends it. Very good ball. Now it will be the last ball of this third over. Showing the wicket ball again. Really rubbing it in. Yeah, showing the celebrations. Last ball of this over. Can New Zealand pick up another wicket? And Sinead just guides it and behind square to find the leg, I believe. And it will be 1 run. So it's 13 for 2 after 3 overs. And South Africa in a spot of bother, really. In this next over, we need to get at least 10 from it to have a good power play. And it's not going to be a big power play. We don't have the best batting depth. We got a few all right. You got like 2-3 more batsmen, then we're into the bowlers. So not the best batting lineup, not depth really. But yeah, Kerr is going to come in for a second over. Sinead also standing outside the crease, wider stance. Then Marathon Cup. Marathon Cup. And that ball, she just wanted to guide it, but it just misses the ball. Score predictors right now says 138% of dismissals at Boland Park. Knocks pen heavy in favour, and Sinead the chip and Nick Day are they going to go upstairs? She seems like she wants to go upstairs. Umpires are now going to consult. I think they have gone upstairs, I believe. Maybe it's an umpire's review. We'll see now. I think it's an umpire's review. On-field decision not out, so that means there needs to be conclusive evidence. Is that Morne Morkel in the New Zealand camp? I think that is. Yeah. It's umpire review, so not play. Yeah, that there's a thick edge on it. Oh, thick edge, but the ball bounces in front of the wicket keeper, and that's why the umpire didn't give it. We'll see. Ultra edge, yeah, there is a nick, but it bounced before it. New Zealand, they don't lose a review, as it was umpire's review. Was the ball that's up that bounced in front of the keeper. So yeah. But still 14 for 2 with 4 balls remaining in this over. Sinead is at a crease. I faced 5 balls and 1 run. Kerr, she steams in. swings the ball in, and just hits in there to the goal in front and of, I want to say, mid wicket, I think. And they're showing again Lune's wide stance, and this time she hits the ball over the inner ring, and that will be a welcome boundary for South Africa. So yeah, 18 for 2 right now, and Sunailu's just defends that well. Good ball there on the wickets. Can't really do anything about it. And yeah. And a welcome boundary by Sunailu this time. And that brings the total to 22. So that means 8 runs from the over. Hits the ball firmly and through the gap. Yep. And it's 22 for 2 after 4 overs. The power play is still in session. Sorry, we'll just change the score. But yeah, Mane is back. So yeah, I add him.
Yeah, sorry about that once again. Inexcusable, but once again, it looks as though New Zealand have been able to get the better of them, but those 2 boundaries in that last over from Sunailu were very important. And a lot will be expected from the captain. Tahuhu back to Woolvart, straight down, but mid-off is able
running between the wickets today.
Yep, good running
That's
between the
good
wickets
running.
and some sharp fielding.
But
And
what
that
I've noticed is both Sunailu's and Marazan Cap, when Kerr bowled, both had a stance outside the crease. Sunailu's was a bit wider, but still outside the crease.
Yeah.
I don't know about facing this bowler.
Yeah. And of course, there were a couple of occasions in that over when she was fishing outside the off stump and very nearly got caught behind. There was no need to review that because the wicket keeper, her reaction pretty much said it all. Really, it did bounce before going into her gloves. Straight on to Luz, who plays that all the way to deep backward point and should get at least 2 runs, maybe 3. Nope, settling for 2.
2.
And so,
2.
Yeah. So a few loose deliveries being
T20 international matches. 12 have been played. 2 have been won by South Africa and 10 by New Zealand. So really, New Zealand dominates this derby, you could say. But yeah, they really dominate.
Yeah, but form goes out the window in a tournament like this, and New Zealand need to make sure they bowl well and stick to a line. And that's the thing with a fast bowler. Bowling straight at the batsman is not really good because batsmen are very easily able to work it onto the leg side where there are no fielders. You've got to bowl an off-stump line if you're bowling to a batsman. Tahu's deliveries are straight or on the leg, and they're sort of worked away easily. But when she was able to bowl that delivery to Cap, who skied it in the air. She got her wicket, and it was to the off.
And a beautiful cut shot there by Laura Wolford that brings up another boundary.
Well, I mean, I say you got to bowl to the off stump line 30, really. And, you got to bowl to your off stump line. You can't bowl short and wide, though. And there's no... That was sort of her way. Yeah, go ahead, Hannah.
Doesn't have to bowl on an off stump line and it bowls short. Like then she bowls full and onto the legs, and that will be 2.
To backward points. So an expensive over from Tahuhu, 10 from it. And
10 from it.
You could say that with Luce and Wolvart now at the crease, having gotten into double digits, they seem to be almost settling in just fine. But again, one more wicket could change everything.
And it can't change everything. So yeah, 32 for 2 after 5 overs. Been an interesting 5 overs. I think New Zealand will be looking to maybe bring back the spinner as soon as the power play is finished. So yeah, but look at Laura Wolford. She's been one of the best players coming into this tournament. She's only faced 6 balls, which is a bit staggering.
It's a left arm spinner, Fran Jonas, who's bowling now, 18 years old, 14 matches, 13 wickets, a strike rate of 21.2 and an economy rate of under 5, so she can be very useful indeed. And second delivery has worked very nicely by Luce. Yep.
4 runs. As easy as that.
Deep mid-wicket boundary. No chance there for either of the fielders. So this is also going to be interesting because clearly Devine wants to try and involve some spin, but that was very well played indeed by the South African captain.
Yeah. I think maybe the fielders could have done better there, but they knew they weren't getting there. Perfectly timed.
And once again played to the mid-wicket boundary. This time, Kerr is able to whip that throw back, and so that will only be a Mignon Dupree is another South African legend in the commentary today. And that is a better example of fielding. Yep. Wolvart obviously looking to cut that sharply, but only finding Wolvart, who was, if I'm correct, at point. And that's how you get to the point. Pun intended. 2 deliveries left. And
beautiful shot play there. For race, not to the boundary, brilliant dive, and she stops 4 there. They run for 3.
And that's been signaled leg by. So that's another danger of a left arm spinner if you stray off your line, because clearly the leg buys are going to cost you a lot of runs. Got to keep bowling to your line.
You need to bowl to your line. Nice.
Last delivery of the over, round the wicket from the left-hander. And that is nicely worked, going all the way down to mid-wicket. Does that go to the boundary? Yes, it does. 4 more runs to South African captain Sune Luce. And South Africa have recovered quite nicely. 44 for 2 after 6 overs.
44 for 2, yeah. And a power play is done. That's a good power play to be fair, 44. And that's a good power play. 12 runs in this 6 over. It's a really good power play. We've been better if we went 2 down, but So yeah, 44 for two. Suneli has been a top performer, 21 runs of 16 balls. Yeah, number 10 on the field.
Yeah, so a lot will depend on her as the captain. And obviously, with the more experienced Brits and Cap now back in the hutch, it'll be up to her and Volvart and whoever else is next to try and, take them further. And so it is Jensen who comes back in, right arm medium, fastish, over the wicket to the right-handed Volvart, who plays
They
that off her
trying
legs
the
quite expertly. And that is
they
all the way
dragging
to
the
backward
lines.
square leg.
I
Yeah,
don't know, maybe it's a pitch swing it too much inwards, but they dragging the ball to the legs. So it's
yeah,
a concern for them there.
definitely a concern. Haley Jensen, age 30. And this isn't really good for New Zealand, how the South African batsmen have been able to work the ball onto the onside quite
And just run
expertly.
between the wickets. Yeah.
Yeah, the running has also
Wolford
been good.
needs to get the bat going, yeah. She's faced now 9 balls, only 11 runs. Needs to get a boundary
Yeah, I mean, to
soon.
be fair, she hasn't
For
had much of the to be fair, she hasn't had much of the strike, and
yeah, yeah.
that was a good delivery. It's an almost a bit of a grubber, which kept low, and Wolvart swung and missed at that. And currently at the run rate of 7.08, there's a score predictor which says that they could get 151, which wouldn't be a bad total by any means.
Yeah,
And that is better bowling from Jensen because if you see, and that is out. Excellent work from the wicketkeeper. And the South African captain, Sune Luz, has ended up being sacrificed. What a poor piece of cricket that was from all concerned, but New Zealand a cock a hoop. What do you think of this, Hanno? Well, I'm not too sure what Sune Luz was thinking, to be honest. And, she saw an opportunity for a run there, but clearly Bezuidenhout was
I don't know
quicker
what
to it.
Sunelise was thinking there. I'm gonna be honest. She called for a run. There's no way Wolford called for that. That's run. There's no way she called for that run.
Yeah, a poor piece of
Absolutely.
cricket that was, really. And Sune Luz has just thrown it all away after playing so beautifully, really.
Yeah.
So,
Manu will just update the score with the wicket. Just update it after every wicket and do it after every over.
Okay. 46 for 3 after 6.4 overs. Yeah, so it's Chloe Tryon who's at the crease, also standing with her back foot outside, come back in now. And I was just about to say that the good thing about Jensen is that she's now basically bowling from the widest possible point. So basically what she's trying to do is sort of from that sort of a wide delivery, get it to just angle in and take advantage of that. And the Zuidenhout there, what a brilliant piece of cricket that was. There wasn't a single involved in that, but, Luz had to commit to that. Bezuidenhout had the presence of mind to take off the glove of her throwing arm, gather it in her arm, and just throw it onto the stumps. And Luz was nowhere to be seen. Absolutely brilliant cricket from New Zealand. But what a moment of madness that was from the South African captain. And that could very well be a possible play of the day. But the final delivery, all that good work from Jensen undone with a delivery straying wide. That should be 4-leg buys. Or actually, it gets off Tryon's bat, who's off the mark. And South Africa have now reached their 50 after 7 overs. 50 for 3. So the New Zealanders just can't seem to get their lines right, but somehow they've had a happy knack of being able to pick up some wickets. And I mean, South Africa would really only have themselves to blame if they don't put up a good total. Luz has
Yes,
only
definitely.
herself to blame because she called for the run. And so, as I've said, New Zealand do have have shown the knack of picking up wickets, and it is Kerr who comes back into the attack. Actually, not back; she's introduced into the attack rather. Sort of a leggish leg break bowler almost. Yep, 22 years old, leg spin bowler, bowling from the Swartland end. 55 wickets from 57 matches, very experienced. Certainly one of New Zealand's better bowlers. And there's that Morne Morkel I see in the South African dugout. Nice shot played by Chloe Tryon all the way down to mid-wicket. Morne Morkel, of course, is the New Zealand bowling coach now, so not in the South Africa dugout, but definitely doing what he can for New Zealand. And in the men's version, we saw a lot of native Australians working with other teams. I think that trend might be continuing. And that goes straight through the fielder there. Definitely not a good piece of cricket, that. Fortunately, only 1 run comes from that. It went straight through the mid-wicket fielder, but thankfully the deep
But
mid-wicket fielder was able to get that. Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right.
I'll be back. I just need to quickly go. So
okay.
I'll be back.
Take your time. Take your time. And that's a googly there, which is played all the way to point, or rather gully, really, for a single. I mean, not even a single, a dot ball, rather. And last ball, 3 runs off this over. And that is played nicely by Tryon. And that goes through the field at cover, but deep cover was there to stop that from going into the boundary. And after 8 overs, South Africa are now 55 for 3. 5 runs off that over. And so going along at a rate of just under 7 and over, I think the South Africans are going to try and look to attack in the later overs as is expected. But of course, happy knack of picking up wickets. Chelsea fan. Chiefs winning the Super Bowl yesterday, winning it next year. Don't count on it. And now we've got our friend from the Great White North saying the Super Bowl was rigged. Kansas City cheats. Ooh. That certainly wasn't without its share of controversy, let me tell you that. But welcome to you both, and thanks for joining in. And Carson's had her first over, a wicket and 4 runs, the important wicket of Tamsin Brits. It's Tahu who's back into the attack. And you're not going to get an LBW shout for that because that was going all the way down. Was going down the leg, and she halted her appeal after that. And Wolvart wasn't really able to get to the line of that, and that was a dot ball. And of course, confirmation of the earlier result today. A half century from Capsey taking England to a 4-wicket win, but wickets falling in a cluster near the end. Second delivery from Tahu, and that is sort of defended all the way down to mid-off. Star of England's match was obviously Sophie Eccleston, the left-arm spinner, who took 3 wickets for 13 runs. And showing there how important it is to make sure that the line is spot on as a left arm spinner. Over the wicket, bowled her! And after a rather uncomfortable stay as an opener, Laura Vulvart has to go. And could be staring down the barrel here. A slower ball there, which Vulvart completely missed. Ball going down the Piccadilly, bat going all the way down the Bakerloo, playing across the line. And the rather scratchy and uncomfortable 13 of 17 balls for Vulvart leaves South Africa at 55 for 4 and in a bit of a spot of bother. Well, just as well that Hanno isn't here because there's no way he would have appreciated that shot. A brilliant slower delivery there, which completely outfoxed Laura Vulvart. Right arm over the wicket. And just an example of how, as a fast bowler, if you can change the pace and sort of, mix it up a little bit, you can deceive the batsman at times. They're expecting a faster delivery, but can't quite play a slower one. Delmi Tucker's now in. Personal best of 8 from 7 innings. Not the best situation for her to be in. Another right-handed batsman. And her first shot is played all the way down to mid-off for a single. Completely missing the line, and she lost her off stump. Almost like an off spinner, that. And isn't she delighted, Toe? Two deliveries to go, and that is some excellent bowling once again. You can see that the swing is starting to play a little bit of a role right now. So as it, I wonder if the South African bowlers are going to look to try to take advantage of those swinging conditions when they bowl in the second innings. So far, 5 deliveries, 4 dot balls, and a wicket off the third ball. Will this be a wicket maiden, or will Tucker get off the mark? Last delivery, over the wicket. And Tucker tucks that all the way to third man for a single. 1 run off the over. Brilliant piece of bowling. And South Africa, after 9 overs, are 56 for 4. And so that Wolvart dismissal was definitely not what South Africa wanted, and New Zealand will feel that if they can continue to pick up wickets, they will certainly have more of a shot at the game. UFOs are being shot down left, right over here in the middle of an alien invasion. Wouldn't go so far to say that, but it is what it is. South African women can't bat. And it is Kerr, the leg break bowler, who comes back, and that is nicely played by Tucker all the way down to deep extra cover for a single. And that brings Chloe Tryon back on strike. A little bit of banter there, Super Bowl related banter, but it is what it is. And so it is Kerr who comes back in for the 10th over. Leg break over the wicket to the right-handed Tryon, who plays that well enough, but no run over there because the cover fielder had that covered. Flighting it quite nicely, but that is given the treatment it deserves. Punch straight back down over in through the gap between cover and mid-off, and that goes to the boundary for 4. Welcome runs here for South Africa, and New Zealand cannot afford these loose deliveries if they want to stay in this contest. I mean, she was trying to flight it, but sadly ended up Not really getting it, but that's a fine delivery there. Appeal for an LBW, but there might perhaps have been an edge which would have saved her. But that's a good recovery from Kerr. Will they review that, though? Amelia Kerr and Sophie Devine, the New Zealand captain, says, yes, we are going to review that. New Zealand do have 2 reviews remaining. Not sure why, because they did lose a review earlier on. And the former captain, Susie Bates, as well, very much in it. So a nice delivery over here, flies it and going down. And there's clearly no edge. That did hit her pad first. The only issue is, would that have gone down leg? Looks as though it was the googly, which has done for her. Certainly no edge there. Huge gap between the bat and the ball. Hitting her on the top of her knee pad. And we're going to see if that would have gone on to hit the wicket. Maybe taken out leg stump. So that's not a bad shout there. Certainly worth a review. Beautifully flighted. Excellent googly. Inline, pitching outside off. But sadly that would have gone on to miss leg stump. So the review has been lost. But fine delivery that. A little bit of control, and it would have possibly done for Chloe Tryon, but she survives. And so that's 1 review remaining. An excellent delivery to finish it off. Another googly almost. And at the end of the 10th over, South Africa is 61 for 4. Oh, no. 1 more left. And now and that is sort of played all the way down to the mid-on, long-on boundary, but only a single. And South Africa are now 62 for 4. So at this halfway stage, they're going okay at about 6 and over, 6.2 to be exact. And it will remain to be seen what sort of bowlers Sophie Devine will call on to bowl. Mid-innings break, of course. And South Africa, I'm sure, would not have liked to have lost those 4 wickets. But with the ball starting to swing a bit, they will feel confident of doing well with the ball once they come out to bowl. And New Zealand do have a pretty good batting lineup. As long as you've got Sophie Devine and Susie Bates in the team, you certainly won't be found wanting for experience, talent, or quality. But a lot now rests on the shoulders of the inexperienced Delmi Tucker and the slightly more experienced Chloe Tryon. And as for New Zealand, Tau, who has 2 wickets, 1 for Carson and a brilliant run out for Bezuidenhout. And while New Zealand may not necessarily be on top, they're certainly not by any means out of this contest. Certainly even Stevens. 60-odd runs and 4 wickets down. And Bezuidenhout, in fact, was born in South Africa, so certainly a nice homecoming for her. played for the South Africa under-19s and was among the emerging players for South Africa, but then moved to New Zealand, playing for Northern Districts and the New Zealand national team. It is Carson back into the attack, and the first delivery is, Tryon was obviously trying to play that down the leg side, but certainly wasn't able to get it down to fine leg the way she would have liked it. Not able to get to that. And so second delivery from the off spinner Carson, and that is nicely played by Tryon all the way down to deep backward point, but that will only be a single, and that brings Delmi Tucker back on strike. So it's just barely better than a run and ball now, South Africa, and they will want to try and accelerate. But if Carson, who bowled quite well in her first over, can keep the pressure on, who knows what will happen. Third delivery, over the wicket to the right-handed Tucker. And an LBW shout, which is halted, played onto her leg, and that goes all the way to the fielder standing at, the short third man fielder almost running in there to take that. So 2 singles off the over already. Fourth delivery to Tryon. And sort of pitched at her feet, but sort of dipping in really, and Tryon tried her best but couldn't play that. And so we are at exactly a run a ball. 2 deliveries left. And nicely flicked off her legs. That will go all the way to backward point, but again, it'll only be a single. An excellent throw in from the deep. Still at a run a ball. Jensen there with that powerful arm of hers. Last delivery of the over. An attempted reverse sweep there, and a belated call, and then Tryon immediately called for a single, and they ended up getting it. It's all happening out there, And New Zealand are definitely giving South Africa a huge run for their money. 11 overs, 66 for 4. And South Africa will need to turn on the afterburners if they want to get a match-winning total here. Sun's just about almost set over at Paarl. Beautiful evening. And again, talk of the fantasy points. Sophie Eccleston, Sarah Glenn right up there. Cara Murray from Ireland too. Alice Capsey from England, who had her half century. And it is Jonas, the left-arm spinner, who comes back into the attack. Left arm around the wicket to Tucker, who tries to play that, but only ends up sending that ball rather tentatively to the mid-on fielder. Let's see how her line is right now. And that is once again played all the way down, this time to mid-off, where the captain, Sophie Devine, is able to gather that. And these dot balls will not be good for South Africa. Third delivery. And that is swept, played across the line, but the deep mid-wicket fielder is able to gather that and throw that back for a single, and that brings Tryon back on strike. Fran Jonas, who will also be batting at number 11. Again, in case she's needed. Fourth delivery of the over, just 1 run off it. Decent bowling. And this is also a good attacking strategy from the left armour, trying to sort of cramp up an attacking batsman Faroon. Basically, when she delivers her delivery like this, it sort of spins a little bit down and goes at her leg, but the batsman can't really play at that. And Tryon goes down the track and sends that all the way straight down down to the boundary for 4. And so that's another example. If a bowler bowls 2 straight, go down the track, mate. And that, you could tell that was necessary because that has brought the run rate back to a runner ball. And clearly that was right in the slot, and Tryon obliged. And the final delivery is played off her pads, and that will be a single to end the over. So after 12 overs, it is 72 for 4. And a replay of this shot, a very welcome boundary indeed. Getting to the pit line of that beautifully, playing through the line. That's exactly what you want. 72 for 4 after 12. So, of course, at this rate, South Africa will be on course to score an even 120, which could potentially be a competitive total if they're able to bowl well enough. And certainly in the evening, there could very well be some sort of a dew factor that could help with the swing, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say dew factor, but you could see that when the New Zealand bowlers were bowling, Jensen was able to get the ball to swing quite a bit, and then it is, in fact, Carlson back into the attack, and that is nicely played by Chloe Tryon, all the way down to the long off boundary for 4, beating the fielder. And I think now Chloe Tryon has said enough's enough. It's time for me to power through, and power through she did. You can see the look on her face. She's exceptionally determined, played through that beautifully, and that is 4 runs. So Eden Carson back into the attack. Second delivery. How does she respond to that? And that goes through the wicket-keeper, who is not happy. But fortunately, the short, fine leg fielder, that is, in fact, Fran Jonas, who was able to run across from her fielding position to get that behind the wicket-keeper. In fact, she was at short, fine leg and got to that perfectly. And it is Tucker who is back on strike, with the batsman having run through. And all Tucker can do is just tuck that all the way down to mid-wicket for a dot ball. And so far, New Zealand bowlers have maintained a good over rate. They certainly wouldn't want to go under that. And we have a wicket. It was an uncomfortable stay at the crease for Delmi Tucker, hoping to try and play the scoop, but the ball simply was not rising high enough. Eden Carson with her second wicket, and South Africa have lost half their side and are in a spot of bother. Clearly trying to play the scoop, or the reverse scoop perhaps, but not able, completely missing the ball. And an absolutely devastated and forlorn Delmi Tucker returns to the hutch. 5 off 11. And it's not looking good for South Africa. 78 for 5. So once again, New Zealand's happy knack of picking up wickets and breaking partnerships has struck again. Nadine de Klerk just come to the wicket. The team's in a spot of bother. And I think Tryon will be saying, whatever you do, I need you to support me. We're in this together. 3 deliveries left from, and that's another fine delivery, which can only be patted back down to mid-wicket there. And the New Zealanders are cock-a-hoop, and why wouldn't they be? An attempted top spinner that was, almost, with the index finger sort of across the seam, and it did for Delmi Tucker beautifully. 2 deliveries to go, and that is nicely played by Nadine de Klerk. Does she run for the second? No. Tryon is sent back. And just as well. Yep, an attempted scoop. But there was really no attempt. She just grounded her bat and couldn't lift it in time. And she was angry and devastated. Last delivery of the over. And that is nicely played by Tucker all the way to the mid-wicket area. And after 13 overs, South Africa 80 for 5. And they will need a partnership now if they want to have any hope of getting to a decent total. It's all happening out there. It is all happening out there. 7 overs to go. If they score at about a run a ball, they'll get to 122. Not what they would want. They'll certainly look to try and get a bigger total. But again, their bowlers will always have a chance on this wicket. I'm certain of it. And there is the leg break bowler Kerr back into the attack, and that is nicely played down the ground. But the former captain Susie Bates runs across to the long on boundary and prevents that from being anything more than a single. Amelia Kerr. And an excellent delivery that from Kerr. Looks like another googly. Completely had Nadine de Klerk beaten all ends up, but thankfully no edge, and it didn't hit the wicket. Actually, she missed it, went straight to the wicketkeeper, and Nadine survives. And that is nicely played by Nadine de Klerk all the way to the extra cover region for a single, and that brings Chloe Tryon back on strike. And that is a beautiful delivery, completely missed by the batsman, but that goes straight behind the wicketkeeper, and that is 4 runs. That is cruel. Absolutely cruel. 4 byes is the signal. And that is nicely spun. Completely missed, and the wicketkeeper, Bezuidenhout, also missed that completely. Such is life. Well, the wicketkeeper didn't miss that. And now Kerr is now stating to Tryon, you're not going to get me. Missing the edge of the bat there. We've got a battle on our hands. Just 2 singles in those 4 byes. This is good stuff from Amelia Kerr. Last ball. What happens here? And that is yet again played nicely to the cover region. And that will be a single to take South Africa to 87 for 5. And crucially, of course, it means that Chloe Tryon will retain the strike. So 7 runs off that over. And ooh, it's 14 overs, not 13. Still barely better than the runner ball. They will need to start hitting. 7 and over will only get them to 129, which won't really be good. That was, of course, the first delivery. Tamsin Brits plum. And then Delmi Tucker completely flummoxed by that top spinner. Or was that the Karen ball, maybe? I don't know. But it is Tahu back into the attack. And that is well fielded indeed, all the way at mid-off. Only a single, only a single. Still a lot of support for South Africa. And Chloe Tryon is definitely trying to build an innings here. If she can get to a 50, it'll be a real source of encouragement. Nadine de Klerk now facing Tahu. Right arm over the wicket to the right-handed batsman. And the batsman plays that all the way to the extra cover region, and that will be another single. And we have a magic moment here from the West Indies versus New Zealand all the way in 2016 when the tournament was held in India. And New Zealand's bowling that day certainly was at its best. Sophie Devine now just organising her field. Leah Tahuhu, who's now gone round the wicket to try and tuck her up. And it seems to have worked a bit. Well, not quite. A top edge there, which went high up in the air, but that also had enough power to take it down to third man for a boundary. Certainly quite welcome. So the intent was there, but you can see a very thickish edge which sent the ball high, but fortunately they had enough on it to run all the way down to third man for a boundary, and that is the 12th boundary of the innings. Tahuhu, undeterred, continues round the wicket. And Tahuhu needs to be careful because she cannot bowl too wide of that limit point. So what happens here for all of you is that whenever a bowler comes and bowls at the wicket, there will be two red lines on either side. Those lines are basically the limit as to how wide from where you can bowl your delivery. So you cannot bowl from beyond that those red lines. And of course, the West Indies winning that match by 6 runs. An absolute classic game from 2016. And Tryon decides to leave that. And so far, the umpires haven't exactly been vigilant when it comes to making sure that she doesn't go too wide. But back over the wicket. And certainly an edge there. And Bezuidenhout ends up gloving that all the way to the boundary. You can't make this up. You can't write this script even if you tried. 97 for 5, 10 runs off that over. And you could say that South Africa are getting some long overdue luck. But deserving people make their own luck, as we would say. Whew. Certainly some efforts to try to increase the strike rate. You can see the edge over there, and had the wicketkeeper taken that, there would have been an absolutely spectacular catch. In fact, she probably could have taken it, but was a bit too late. It is Jessica who's back into the attack, and yeah, that probably has to go for the go down as a dropped catch, really, because the wicketkeeper could have done better. A bit late to that. But it's Kerr bowling to Nadine de Klerk, who plays that very nicely indeed. That is sort of right in the gap between gully and point, and that goes for 4. In fact, one would say that was almost past the gully point. And that brings up the 100 for South Africa. So New Zealand's fielding at not the best moment is starting to fall apart a bit. And that was nicely guided all the way down by Nadine de Klerk. And Jess Kerr is not a happy lass. Ooh. And once again, the wicketkeeper, Bezuidenhout, is in the action. Took a bit of a knock there on her finger. Ooh, those hurt. And that probably might go down as another drop, perhaps. We'll see that in real time, and that was very painful indeed. And that shot from de Klerk was right there between backward point and short third. So and that shot over there was played all the way to the cover region. Not very well fielded by the captain, Devine. So Susie Devine's fielding was anything but divine. And the White Ferns fielding is starting to fall apart a bit. 2 deliveries in this over. South Africa now 102 for 5. And that is sort of punched back towards long off by Tryon for a single. Interesting graphic there about the release points of the New Zealand fast bowlers, Tahuhu, Jensen and Jess Kerr. And that was not a bad delivery, but that's also very well played all the way to cover. And after 16 overs, South Africa 104 for 5. 7 runs from that over. I think it's fair to say that after that excellent run out of the South African captain, Bezuidenhout's fielding has not exactly been the best. A few drops. And certainly had to have attention given to her fingertips. But at the moment, it is now at 6.5 and over, which is an improvement. At this current rate, it could go to 130. 130 would certainly be a competitive total on this ground. New Zealand might look to a few of those poor loose deliveries and some misfields and say those could be what cost them dearly. So they will need another wicket in these remaining 4 overs. The score predictor does have them reaching 138. We'll see. It is Carson back into the attack, off spinner, over the wicket, and that is nicely punched all the way down to deep cover. And they run back for 2, and they should get it comfortably indeed. Eden Carson, who is bowling her last over, probably the best of the bowlers, an economy rate of now just under 6. And that is also punched quite nicely through the gap in the field there, but will they get 2? Again, they get 2. So some poor fielding and some excellent running between the wickets. Wonderful if you're a South African fan, but if you're a White Ferns fan, look away. And you can see there de Klerk expertly playing with the spin and sending that all the way. And now this third delivery is played all the way to deep mid wicket. This time it's only for a single, so 5 runs off these 3 balls. And still on time to track to finish the innings in good time. And Chloe Tryon, of course, with her boundary, has now crossed 1,000 T20 international career runs for South Africa. Excellent performance, and that is a single off that ball, which brings de Klerk back on strike. Two deliveries left. Also played all the way down to mid-wicket. Another single. And South Africa now at Nelson. Traditionally, of course, at Nelson, wickets might get lost, might fall perhaps, but in the final overs, Chloe Tryon boasts a strike rate of 177. That final ball is, however, played back to the bowler. And so, another 7 runs off that over takes them to Nelson for 5. And 17 overs. But again, these two are probably the last recognised batsmen with the bowlers, the wicket-keeper and the bowlers to come. Actually, I think it might be Wolvard who will be keeping wickets. I'm not too sure. So these two batsmen, de Klerk and Tryon, are the last recognised pair. And it is Amelia Kerr back into the attack. 14 runs off her 3 overs. Caused Tryon a few issues, but de Klerk has no such issues. Sweeps that all the way down to mid-wicket, and they run for 2 quite easily indeed. And the South African supporters are loving every minute of this. They were in a big spot of bother when they lost their 5th wicket, but this has been a brilliant partnership indeed. And that is punched all the way down to mid-off, where the captain, Devine, is there. So a dot ball this time. 4 deliveries left for Amelia Kerr to try and take a wicket. Once again punched down, and that goes beyond the fielder. And that will be 4 runs. So it was actually Jensen there, not Devine, who was responsible for that. Good fielding of the previous delivery, but this time de Klerk picked the spot magnificently, and there was no way that Jensen was going to get that. And South Africa now starting to hit out. And you can see de Klerk eager to try to attack the off-stump line, but this time the New Zealand captain has her bearings. 2 deliveries left. And obviously trying to go down the ground, but there was no way that she was going to be able to run. Kerr doing a decent enough job of fielding that. And so this is Amelia Kerr's last delivery. 20 runs conceded so far. And that is swept all the way to the deep mid-wicket boundary. A misfield there, very nearly costing an extra run, but in the end, nothing doing. And so a fine stint from Amelia Kerr. And South Africa, after 18 overs, are 118 for 5. And this particular partnership between Tryon and de Klerk has been the best of the match so far. 40 runs off 33 balls, with de Klerk scoring a lot of the runs, but Tryon also hitting well. Wolvart and Loose were going great guns, but then a moment of madness from the South African captain saw her lose her wicket to a fine run out by the former South African Bezuidenhout. It is Jensen back into the attack. She has 3 overs left. And that first delivery is sort of guided all the way to backward square leg for a single. And I'm sure de Klerk would have wanted more. And there is Danny van Niekerk right now, who obviously will wish that she were batting out there in the company of Ian Bishop in the commentary box. Jensen once again, and that is played quite nicely, but the fielder should get that. Do they run for 2? Yep, they do. And so that's 2 more for Tryon. She will obviously be aiming to get a half century. 39 off 32 right now. And South Africa are now at 121 for 5 with 10 balls to go. And once again, bowling from exactly at that wide point, trying to sort of angle it in, but this time Tryon able to play that very well. So what does Jensen do? What sort of variation does she add to proceedings? 2 runs off each ball will take them to 141. So says the score predictor. And once again, it's an aborted run-up for Jensen. Is she struggling with her calf? I'm not too sure. Hayley Jensen, who was almost surprisingly kept back. Not given too many overs. And this is only her second of the innings. Jess Kerr has 1 left. Fran Jonas has bowled 2. Obviously a little bit on the expensive side, so she wasn't given any more. And so this will be Hayley Jensen's second, and well, she is now being given attention by the physio, and it looks as though she might have done her calf in. Just a recap of the wickets. Carson and Tohu making merry. A poor piece of cricket from Sune Loose in contrast to a brilliant run out there from the wicketkeeper, Bezuidenhout. And the timber rattling twice. And so far, this has been a really good partnership between Tryon and de Klerk. The partnership now worth 43. 7 more runs will take it to 50. And certainly a fine recovery job by these 2 batswomen. Or batters, for the more gender-neutral term. Jensen once again, and that is sort of played behind. And another attempted run out by Bezuidenhout, but again, ever since that brilliant run out of Sune Loose, it hasn't been smooth sailing for her. Now, is that credited as a single or a leg by? Well, it did come off her bat, so that will be a single. This time, Bezuidenhout didn't take her glove off, and she probably wouldn't have. But what? Oh, that would have been an amazing catch there. Nadine de Klerk tried to sort of whack that all the way to deep mid-wicket. Amelia Kerr was there, came diving in, and it would have been the catch of the tournament, but ended up popping out of her hands. We will see that in real time. Caught that beautifully, but I think she lost her grip on that as soon as she hit the ground. Very unfortunate. 2 deliveries left. And this time it's played more straight to Amelia Kerr. 1 bounce. She gathers it and throws it back for a single. 7 runs off this over. And so what will the last ball of Jensen's second over be like? Last ball over the wicket, wide of the crease to the right-hander Tryon, and that is high in the air. Could this partnership be broken? Yes, it can be. And what a relief for Bernardine Bezuidenhout. Between that catch and between her run out of Sune Loose, she was having an awful time of it. But she recovers to take the most important wicket right now and break a partnership of 47, which would have threatened to really put South Africa a little bit out of sight. Fine innings of 40 of 34 comes to a close. At the end of the 19th over, South Africa 125 for 6. And Jensen is rewarded with her final delivery for all her guile, with a pretty injudicious hoik that went up in the air. And Bezuidenhout said, I want to make amends for this. This is mine. Let me have it. And she did. And so for the former South African under-19 wicketkeeper, 2 moments to savour in the match. And we will see what sort of role she plays with the bat. Sinalo Yafta coming in at the very end. And it will be Nadine de Klerk on strike. Couldn't quite get to that. She knew she was in trouble. And Bezuidenhout saying, I've got this. It is Jess Kerr with the final over. And the first ball is played down to mid-off, dot ball. So with the big hitting Tryon out, de Klerk has a role to play in terms of trying to get them to anything above 130 or even close to 140. And oh, that has to go down as a drop. A very poor piece of cricket there from the New Zealand fielder. Once again, de Klerk trying to hit out, finding the fielder, but Green drops it. Maddie Green, standing at mid-wicket. But one advantage is that it brings Yafta on strike, and her first ball from Kerr is rather uncomfortable. A sort of a half-hearted swing and a miss, and it goes straight to the wicketkeeper. So 3 deliveries left. Can South Africa make the most of it? Yafta will need to get a single, get off strike, and let de Klerk have the last 2 balls at least. Or she can hit a boundary. Beautifully played. Piercing the field, right between all the way through cover. And that's a welcome boundary to take South Africa to 130. Yep, right between cover and extra cover. Nobody was going to get that. An attempted slower ball from Kerr, which was dispatched. And now that is high in the air, but that will fall safely, and the former captain Susie Bates will gather that. That will be a single, taking South Africa to 131. And so, last ball of the over. Klerk on strike. Yes, Kerr bowling. And that is straight to the fielder, but they will run for the single. And South Africa finish their innings on 132 for 6. A decent total, still competitive. And New Zealand have a lot of work to do to get the 133 runs they need. At 6.65 and over. So, a partnership there between Tryon and de Klerk threatening to put South Africa in an even better position, but the bowlers have said, nope, not going to let you do that. Some pretty poor fielding at times, including more than a few dropped catches, which could very well prove crucial. And South Africa will feel quite satisfied, really, with the total that they've got so far. And of course, we will have a bit of a recap at this halfway point. So look at the scorecard. Not very pretty reading. Brits and Cap falling early. Wolvart scratching around for 13 before being bowled. Loose running herself out with a stupid decision. Chloe Tryon hitting out beautifully, but then holding out in the end. Delmy Tucker not getting anything, and in the end it was Nadine de Klerk and Yafta seeing the team through. 2 wickets for Carson and Tahuhu, 1 for Jensen, and a brilliant run out. And Devine deserving of some credit for rotating her bowlers fairly well, but some pretty poor fielding at times could come back to hurt them in the very end. And 44 runs in the power play. The middle overs weren't exactly productive. Some decent work in the late overs. And we do have Carson speaking to us, Eden Carson, and we'll just mute our mic. Yeah, so Eden Carson was talking about her bowling, her variations, and how she was able to get things to work quite well. Arguably the better bowler from the New Zealand team, although Toe will certainly have a lot to say about how she was able to get the ball to move around a bit. But certainly the top spin and the Karen ball were working beautifully for Carson, and certainly well worthy of the wicket she got. So, my personal opinion and analysis. Obviously, when it comes to the South African batting, they will look at themselves and say, losing wickets at regular intervals in the beginning didn't help, and they should have been able to make the most of their time out in the middle. But maybe this could very well prove to be the justification for Sune Luz to bat first, because batting could very well be difficult under the lights at Paarl. As for New Zealand, well, they certainly have a good batting lineup. Devine and Bates and company certainly are no slouches with the bat. And there are certainly some pretty good hitters in that team. More than a few all-rounders, it must be said. And the wicketkeeper, Bezuidenhout, will definitely look to have a good game. Kimberly Bourne, of course, and hoping to show South Africa what they're missing. As I've said, she was an emerging player and started for the under 19s. She, in fact, actually did play a few ODIs for South Africa. At that time, Trisha Chetty was the wicketkeeper, and Mignon Dupreez was captain alongside Marizanne Kapp, Danny van Neerkerk, Shabani Ismail, and Lizelle Lee. Lizelle Lee, another batsman who would certainly do some good work here. Kapp, of course, top scoring in that match with 89, and Sri Lanka women being bowled out for 172 for 9. And of course, she was, of course, named in the New Zealand squad after missing 2 years of cricket to deal with health issues. This is returning to playing in the New Zealand summer. She scored a century for Northern Districts, her team, and was third on the domestic one-day tournament's run charts. And scored 133 runs in 6 games at a strike rate of 111.76. And she qualified for New Zealand in 2018. With her first international being all the way back in 2014. Boland Park in Paarl is where we are, of course, are. And of course, as the you're going to see from the TV commentary if you're watching, that is the home of some of the finest wines in South Africa. Certainly, the wine industry is the city's pride and joy in the heart of the Cape Winelands, and definitely prides itself on its sport. And of course, if you are watching the SA 2020, the Paarl Royals are very much involved in the competition. Haven't been doing too well, surprisingly. And of course, Owen Morgan was a part of that team. He has, of course, announced his retirement from all forms of cricket. Couldn't really quite get going. Joss Butler, the England one day and T20 captain, has been magnificent for them, of course, but results have not been in their favour. And just a reminder of some of the shots that have been played in the South African innings. Nadine de Klerk coming in later on and showing some class and really doing her bit in that partnership with Chloe Tryon. And then Jafta coming in. Sinello Jafta, that is, the wicketkeeper. And ensuring that South Africa would get to 130. And now it is time for the New Zealand batsmen to start their chase. The openers are out, and Sune Loose now has a role to play in terms of trying to set her field and organise everything. Rather young captain with a few experienced players under her command. And it is Nonkululeko Mlaba who will be starting, left arm spinner. And she will be bowling to the New Zealand opening batsman. So Bezuidenhout has been sent out to open the innings. Best of 34, not exactly pulling up trees, but she can certainly hit. Decent strike rate too. And Susie Bates, the former captain, is alongside her. So it is the left arm spin of Mlaba round the wicket to the right-handed Bezuidenhout. And trying to guide that on the off, but that goes straight to the fielder at, I want to say, Gully. And so Bezuidenhout will have to play carefully if she wants to rock up a good score here. And has she been stumped? Well, there. It has gone to the third umpire. And Yafta, the wicketkeeper, doing some really good work against her counterpart and former countrywoman. We're going to see if Bezuidenhout was back in time, but I think her rather mixed matches continued with a pretty poor piece of cricket there. Coming all the way out, and Yafta doing some good work over there, and it looks as though her foot was in the air when Yafta whipped the bails off, so I think she will be back in the hutch. Certainly no edge there, no discernible edge. And we're going to take a look and see if... yeah, I think she looks in trouble. She's gone. And that is the risk you take when you hang about. Yep, she's gone. She's gone. She is gone. And New Zealand, who needed a good start, have now lost their first wicket. The second ball duck, not the homecoming she wanted. And New Zealand are staring down the barrel at 0 for 1 after just 2 balls. So the left arm spin of Mlaba doing really well. Nonkululeko Mlaba. I want to make sure I get the African names right. And that now brings Georgia Plimmer, who's been brought into the team, all the way now at number 3. So with 4 deliveries to go, she's got a role to play. And that is punched all the way to extra cover. Dot ball. And that goes back down the ground. But a bit of a hesitation there between Plimmer and Bates as to whether to take the single, and in the end they decide not to. Yeah, you could see, I think Bezuidenhout knew that her foot was in the air, but Plimmer plays this one all the way down to backward point for a single, and so those are New Zealand's first runs on the board, rather New Zealand's first run. And you can see there that instead of trying to sort of slide back along the ground, she had her foot in the air. Never a good strategy if you're trying to get back into the crease, and disappointing match for her. Mixed match, really, but the former captain, Susie Bates, a legend for her nation, is at the crease now. And that is punched, sort of battered all the way to extra cover, and at the end of the first over, New Zealand have made a pretty poor start, really. 1 for 1 after 1. And they need 132 from 19 overs. So, Hanno, I think you might be busy with work, but I'm sure you'll be delighted with that start. And Next to bat are the likes of Amelia Kerr, Devine, the captain, Maddie Green, Jensen, Tahuhu, and Jess Kerr. Not too deep batting, but we'll see how it goes out. And it is Shabnim Ismail who will be coming on to bowl. (34 years old, right arm fast medium, 109 matches for South Africa, 116 wickets. Very experienced, very proficient. And that first delivery is once again played nicely enough by Plimmer, but that goes straight to the extra cover fielder. Delmi Tucker there hoping to make up for that. For her poor dismissal and fielding well, stopping a run being scored. So it's going to be up to the New Zealand batsmen to try to find the gap, but at the same time, the South African bowlers are going to need to make sure they get the swing they need. Ismail to Plimmer, and Plimmer hits that over the field, and does that go down to the boundary? Yes, it does. So we're in the power play, and the field has been brought up, and you can see that the mid-on fielder was not really going to get that with the ball being hit over her. So deciding that going over the top was the better strategy. Worked out well enough. Maybe not the cleanest of connections, but it was hit hard and high enough that the fielder couldn't get that. And that is a welcome boundary, New Zealand's first of the innings. And that ball is played all the way to point. Dot ball. And Devine only needs 50 runs to get to 3,020 international runs. Bates needs 71 runs to get to 1,000 runs in 2020 World Cups. And if Sune Luz bowls and gets a wicket, she will have 50 T20 international wickets. Beautiful delivery from Ismail there, beating the batsman all ends up. But fortunately for the batter, that goes to the wicketkeeper. Actually, hang about, what's happened here? Yep. Top ball. This time she plays it all the way to backward point, and she could end up getting two. And she does indeed. The field coming in, the throw coming in from backward square point. That was, of course, the wicket taker, Malaba. And with 6 runs so far off this over, this is looking a lot better for New Zealand. Last delivery of the over. Plimmer's on 7. Looking pretty decent. And that is played along the ground, and Gully is able to gather that. And after 2 overs, New Zealand are 7 for 1. Need 126 runs from 18 overs. Which means that they now need to score exactly 7 and over from here on in. Quick maths, I know. And it is left arm spinner Malaba back into the attack, bowling to Susie Bates. And she's bowled him! Bowled her, rather, I should say. And the South Africans are cock-a-hoop. And the former captain, Susie Bates, unable to play that well, ending up being bowled all ends up, beaten all ends up. And now she's back. A lovely little spinning delivery sort of going on there, and with all her experience, she couldn't really play that. Obviously trying to play across the line, but completely missing the ball. And the South Africans are cock-a-hoop. The white ferns are currently being grounded. Another second ball duck. 7 for 2. And New Zealand are in a hoodoo. New Zealand are in all sorts of trouble because they needed to win this match. Clearly, their run rate is not on their side. It is Amelia Kerr, the 22-year-old all-rounder. Leg break bowler. A best of 49 not out. So no 50s as of yet, but she'll be hoping to go one better. But I think what she needs to do is make sure she survives this over from Laba, who's been bowling magnificently. Well, that is played all the way to gully. And Sune Luza's decision to open with the left-arm spinner has worked magnificently. And you can see that Susie Bates was disgusted with herself. Obviously trying to give her room to play across, but completely missed it. And that is nicely played, but that goes straight to the cover fielder, Tasmin Brits. Tossed up, but again, straight to the extra cover fielder. And this is going to be a point of frustration for the New Zealand batters. They will need to make sure that they can somehow find the gap and pierce the field, but they're not able to do that right now. And a quickly run single. And Plymmer makes her ground. And so it looks as though Bates was dismissed in exactly the same way she was against Australia, playing completely across the line and losing her stumps. Last delivery of the over. Single and a wicket from it, just like the first. And New Zealand, after 3 overs, are 8 for 2 and really starting to stare down the barrel. And surprisingly, the win predictor has both South Africa and New Zealand with a 50% chance of winning. I'd actually put South Africa above 50%. I'd say 60%. And of course, the top 2 teams qualify for the semi-finals from this group. Sri Lanka have won both their games. Australia opened with a thumping win over New Zealand. Mariazan Kapp comes into the team, right arm over the wicket, but the first delivery of hers is played beautifully by Amelia Kerr, piercing the extra cover and cover fielders through that gap. And that is another welcome boundary indeed. So these youngsters could very well be carrying the hopes of their nation. Tryon and de Klerk standing at extra cover and cover respectively. And second delivery, obviously a Kerr trying to go down the ground and play that, but not able to get to it. Kapp, of course, is the spouse of former skipper Danny van Niekerk, who isn't in the squad after controversially failing, deemed unfit enough to be a part of the squad, failing the fitness test. Interestingly enough, the fitness test was to be able to run those 2 kilometers in about 10 minutes flat. But they had reduced that timing now to 9 minutes and 30 seconds. That ball is played for a single down to backward point and fielded by Mlaba for a single. And of course, with Van Niekerk trying her best to get back into contention and trying to get back into fitness after so many injuries. For me, it sounded like a harsh decision. So South Africa, after that shock loss to Sri Lanka, will have it all to do. And there is Van Niekerk now in the commentary box. Proud spouse watching her spouse bowl. And once again, Plymouth trying to go down the ground and get to that, but only succeeding in finding the cover fielder. A somewhat better over, but two deliveries left. Right arm over. And could this be out? There's an edge. And yes, she's gone. Plymouth's gone. A thick edge there. And for some reason, she doesn't really feel like celebrating too much, Marianne Kapp. But New Zealand are in all sorts of trouble. Obviously, Plymouth going down the track, hoping to hit that, but only succeeding in getting an edge. And the wicketkeeper, Yafta, heard that very clearly. The umpire had no hesitation in giving her out. So with one delivery to go in the fourth over, New Zealand are 13 for 3, and they really are up against it. And of course, with these dismissals, the run rate has now increased to about 7.5 and over. And we see the captain, Sophie Devine, coming in. And so her job will definitely be to try and steady the ship. A T20 100 to her credit, a best of 105, 2,950 runs in her storied career. And now as captain, she's got the responsibility of trying to steady the ship. Cap to Devine, last ball. And that is played with a better technique, defended quite well. And now, with 4 overs gone, New Zealand rather, need another 120 from exactly 16 overs at the rate of 7.5. So this power play is turning into a really powerful session indeed for South Africa. And obviously they've backed themselves to bowl as well as they could. And they've done the job. Malaba with her left arm spin, and now Marianne Kapp with the wicket of Plymouth. And those two second ball ducks will not make for pretty reading for Bezuidenhout and Bates. And so it is Khaka who comes into the attack, right arm fast, and her first ball is magnificently played. Beautiful square cut by Amelia Kerr for 4 runs. That is a welcome boundary. And now, can New Zealand start a recovery from here? Not too bad a delivery, but you can see the decision over there to move the backward point fielder to the right was not the best decision. Perfect square cut there, and that went for 4. Yeah, wild swing, a wild heave, a cross-batted heave from Plymouth, and she will definitely not want to look back at that dismissal fondly at all. And so you can see that the South Africans have the best idea. They should try to do what the New Zealanders couldn't, make sure they field better. And because Kerr played it across that won't be called a wide. It is signalled a dot ball. But a few more boundaries, and who knows, we might have a contest in our hands. And that will definitely be called a wide. No need to even attempt to play that. And so this is where Ayabonga Khaka, with 40 wickets from 47 games for South Africa, needs to be careful. She cannot afford to stray in her line and undo the good work that was done earlier. 3 deliveries left. And that is sort of punched all the way to mid-on, where Nadine de Klerk is there. As you can see, Malaba did the damage earlier on, and then Marizanne Kapp obliging with a wicket of her own. Running in now. And is there an edge there? I think, well, I'm sure the South Africans will be entitled to try and review that. And I think they have gone for a review. Excellent delivery, good seam position there. And Claire Polasak from Australia is the third umpire. The original decision was not out, but we're going to take a look and see if there was an edge. And normally, if there is an edge, the batsman will look back. A very thin edge indeed. And we could see another wicket going down. Yep, that is confirmed. And New Zealand are now down the barrel. 18 for 4. Losing wickets at regular intervals is not what they wanted. A lot was expected of Amelia Kerr. And after 4.5 overs, they really are in a huge spot of bother. And of course, for South Africa, if they can win this match, this will definitely do a world of good for their confidence. That shock loss to Sri Lanka was not what they ordered. They will certainly be up against it when they come up against Australia. Bangladesh should certainly be a better proposition for them, you would think. And now Maddie Green comes to the crease and joins her captain. So Khaka joins in the fun. Last delivery, and that is tentatively played all the way down to mid-on, and New Zealand are really, really, really up against it. 5 overs gone, 18 for 4. Where do they go from here? Trudging back. And receiving some consolation from her teammate. And a pretty poor start to the tournament has just gotten even worse. And there are 2 batters at the crease right now, neither of whom have scored. Both of them have only faced 1 ball. And there are 2 other batsmen who got out for ducks off their second delivery. It is Shabnim Ismail who will be coming back into the attack, so it will be back to pace. Playing and through that and missing that, that goes to the wicket-keeper. The White Ferns are all at sea, and it is not a pretty sight to see. Ball keeping low. And simply unable to pick that. And a swing and a miss there, goes straight through to the keeper. And even Sophie Devine is all at sea. Terrific seam position there, and you can see Kerr looking back at the wicketkeeper. You can almost see the deviation there, and they were right to go for the review. And now you can see the wind predictor has swung firmly in favour of South Africa. Devine wanting a single, but being sent back. And power play is about to get over, and I'm sure New Zealand will be delighted to see the back of the power play. But now, of course, with the power play over, the onus will be on them to try and start scoring runs. But this has been a very powerful power play for South Africa. And that's not going to be an LBW shout. That will be a leg by, which will take them to 19 for 4. That is, in fact, signalled a leg by. And taking a look at Ismail's speeds, her top speed was her first delivery at 120 for 4 kilometers an hour. And slowed it up in her middle balls, but then even her last ball was her top speed at 123. So her last delivery was faster than her first one. Good variations in speed there. Banging into the deck, and that goes through to the wicketkeeper. And that will be one ball over the shoulder. Last delivery of the over. And that is punched back past the bowler, but only to the captain, Sune Lu, standing at mid-off. End of the power play. New Zealand are 19 for 4. They need another 114 runs from 14 overs. So clearly South Africa have been able to do what New Zealand couldn't. They've picked up wickets at very regular intervals. There has been no partnership. The spin of Malaba and some good seam bowling from Cap and Khaka have accounted for them. And Malaba is now back into the attack. 2 from 2 off 2. And that is now 2 for 3 off 2.1. Sophie Devine getting off the mark there. A risk had to be taken. And I wonder if Sune Lu will be looking to try to bowl out Malaba. And yeah, pretty poor effort there, not quite able to gather the ball. Had she gathered it, Devine would have been in trouble. Maddie Green now trying to play it through the field, but only finding Tasmin Brits at extra cover. Third delivery of the over. And that is nicely played on the onside. That should go all the way to the mid-on fielder, Nadine de Klerk, for a single. And Eden Carson over there not looking too pleased. Hopefully she won't be, for her sake, she won't be called out to bat. But a little bit of a recovery now with a couple of singles. Another single played by Devine to the same fielder, de Klerk, at mid-on. And so Sune Loose now just urging calm. And that is very well played through the offside field. And that was sort of played beyond point, through the gap between point and extra cover. And Tamsin Brits was standing back and able to get that. Sophie Devine back on strike. Maddie Green with her. And a sort of a zooter, if you will. I wouldn't say a zooter, but certainly spinning right in hard. 4 runs off that over. Devine survives. And New Zealand are definitely in need of some Devine intervention after 7 overs. They are 23 for 4, barely above 3 and over. And they need all the help they can get, because the run rate has now gone up to above 8, 8.46 in fact. And the current run rate of 3.29 is certainly not what they need. They're going to have to target some bowlers. If it is any consolation, though, Mlaba has now bowled 3 overs, so she only has 1 left. So who can Sune Loose call on to bowl? That is the question. Well, it is back with Khaka now, who comes in. And good delivery, keeping low. Maddie Green swinging and missing. And it's basically been a case so far of the bowlers exploiting the conditions very well here. And South Africa will be expected to continue this good work and avoid making the mistakes that New Zealand made in the field. More than a few dropped catches harming them. Nice delivery, keeping low. Once again played between backward point and extra cover. That'll be a single, and that brings Sophie Devine on strike. And you can see how happy the South African fans are. They wanted a response after the defeat to Sri Lanka, and they've gotten it so far. And this could very well be a quite competitive group, given how well Sri Lanka have played. New Zealand have always prided themselves on being a very competitive team, but so far they just haven't gotten going in this tournament. But again, the top 2 teams qualify. It is very hard to look beyond Australia, so it will be between Sri Lanka, South Africa, and maybe New Zealand. And Sophie Devine not able to get to that effectively. Ends up going to the cover fielder for another dot ball, and dot balls will be what hurts them. And once again, finding the fielder, but they did go for the single and eventually end up making it. And one thing New Zealand do have in their favour is that they do run very well between the wickets indeed. Decent work there from the wicketkeeper, Yafta. And that was played, obviously, to the slips. Sharp throw back from Mariazan Cap, but Maddie Green was there safely. Good cricket all around. Last ball of the over. And after 8 overs, New Zealand are 25 for 4. And as you can see, it's now crept up to 9 and over. And the more dot balls they end up consuming, the worse it will get for them. And it certainly won't do them any favours with regard to their net run rate. In fact, if their run rate gets completely poor, they might end up exiting the competition already. Delmi Tucker into the attack. And the first ball is played all the way down to the mid-wicket area. Deep mid-wicket will send that back in, and that will be a single. And so probably brought on to try to get through the overs quickly. And both Devine and Green see Tucker as a means of scoring some good runs, and that is a good 2-run there by Maddie Green. Certainly an off-break bowler, but I think it could very well be that she is taken out of the attack after this, because she's now conceded 4 runs off 3 balls. And the run rate has now gone up to 9 and over. 9.04 is the required rate now. And that is played straight to the extra cover fielder. So no single there. And so Sune Luz should be credited for getting her field placing spot on the offside. As for the leg side, of course, you can't really defend that. That is another single played all the way down to mid-wicket. And so this over is over in a hurry. 5 runs off it, so no wickets, but certainly a very quick over. And that is played across the line all the way down to mid-wicket for a single. Easily New Zealand's best over of the innings, 6 runs from it, and after 9 overs, they are 31 for 4. But they need 102 from 11. And you can see that after 9 overs, South Africa have scored 25 more runs, losing the same amount of wickets. So New Zealand have done well to get to their 9 overs near the midweight point, having lost those 4 wickets. It will remain to be seen what sort of strategy they will use, because and we're now seeing Chloe Tryon, who bats right-handed but bowls left-arm spin. And she'll be going round the wicket to Maddie Green. And that is sort of defensively prodded forward for a dot ball. And so the part-timers are definitely doing their bit to keep their end up. Of course, Tucker was taken for 6, but this is a good start from Tryon. And that could be a wicket there. And the part-timers are doing their job. And this is really looking desperate now for New Zealand. Hoping to play the reverse sweep, but only succeeding in playing it onto her pad, up in the air. Easy catch for the wicketkeeper, Yafta. And everything that could go wrong for New Zealand is going wrong. 7 of 14 balls for Maddie Green, 31 for 5, well before the halfway point. As for South Africa, everything is coming up roses. What can you say? What can you say? I don't know if there are any fans from New Zealand who are watching this, and it probably is going to be quite... I really do hope you didn't stay up late or wake up very early in the morning to catch this. Of course, it isn't over until it's over, but I would probably go so far to say that if you are a New Zealand supporter and you are watching this, switch off your TV right now. Yeah, actually came off the back of the bat. Easy as you like. A dolly for the wicket keeper. I mean, we are close to the midway point of the innings now, and as I said, everything that could go wrong for New Zealand has gone wrong. Everything that could go right for South Africa has gone absolutely right. And Sune Loose will be on top of the world. Everything she's tried has worked beautifully with regard to her bowling changes. Maddie Jensen now, the fast seam bowling all-rounder, gets off the mark with a single. Poor dismissal there, and hoping for the reverse sweep, but not really getting to that, and the wicketkeeper was able to catch that quite easily. There are 3 balls, of course, left until the midway point. This is the 10th over. And they're just staying afloat at barely 3 and over, but they really need a lot more. And excellent shot there. Some good fielding, and that is going to be another single to take them to 33 for 5. So the target has now gone down to 100. And it will really be only a matter of, balls right now. Tryon looking really good as a left-arm spinner. A lot of shoulder action in her bowling. And Yafta's loved ones there enjoying that. A single played off the last ball takes New Zealand to 34 for 5 off 10. And that means that the target has now gone down to 99. From 60 balls. Whoopsie daisies. The scorecard, which does not make for pretty reading. Devine still scratching around on 6. Jensen has made a bit of a mark with 2 off 3. Kerr, the only one to get to double figures. 2 second ball ducks at the top of the innings. And Mariazan Cap is back into the attack. Jensen on strike. Not quite able to play that. And Yafta is now 1. She's already tied with 3 others for the most dismissals by a South African wicketkeeper in women's 2020 internationals. All Jensen can do is smile and see if she can try and get a hit. Single played all the way down to mid-wicket, who ran across to get that. A best of 19. Not exactly inspiring much in terms of confidence. New Zealand will need to make some changes for their final 2 games if they are to come away with wins, because if they lose this game, then the net run rate that they've got against them will almost certainly mean that they won't go through. And that is swatted into the ground by Sophie Devine. And mid-wicket is able to get to that for a single. You can see how angry Sophie Devine is as captain. Also, that ball was rising on her, so that was really the only way she could play it. Two deliveries left. And that is played nicely on the offside all the way to the cover fielder for a single. And the run rate is still increasing. 40 balls since their last boundary, coming up to half an hour. And that is very well played by Sophie Devine, the captain. Slashed through point for a very welcome boundary indeed. 7 runs off that over for Maria's Cap. New Zealand are now 41 for 5 off after 11 overs. They need 92 runs from 54 balls. Run rate still now at about 10 and over. But at the moment, the ball is keeping very low, so scoring is a bit difficult. And New Zealand really don't have too much going for them at the moment. Everything that has gone right for South Africa, from winning the toss to recovering well with some terrific hitting near the end of the innings from Chloe Tyron and company, and some poor fielding at times from New Zealand, has put them into this position. Kaka's back into the attack, has already bowled 2 deliveries for 2 dot balls. Jensen is still scratching around. The South African dugout seems to be a very happy place, but the New Zealand dugout, with Morne Morkel in that team, is not quite happy at all. A single played there to mid-on, short mid-on, if you will. Well gathered by Tryon, who threw that at the wicket, but missed it. And if she had hit it, there could have been some problems for Maddie Jensen, but the captain now trying to play a bit of a lone hand and thinking about risking a single, but Jensen says no. In fact, it might have been Devine who refused that. 42 for 5 off 12, just pottering on at 3 for 5. 3.6, 3.6 in fact. And the required rate is edging closer up to 11. Some excellent fielding there from Kaka, preventing that from going any further. And so one more ball off this over. And what can New Zealand do? Hit into the ground, and certainly well fielded enough. A clean catch could possibly have resulted in a run out, maybe, but siding against it. And Laura Wolfhart at point fielding that. But a single has been run. So 43 for 5 now off 12. And need exactly 90 runs from 48 balls. And so the run rate has now gone up, the required run rate has now gone up to well over 11. Some entertainers on the side doing their bit to keep the crowd engaged. Delmy Tucker back into the attack and swept all the way to forward square leg or deep square leg, if you will, for a single. Just can't get the boundaries they need. That is tossed, but still not cleanly put away, and that will yet again be another single with Marizanne Kapp at mid-wicket, throwing that back in. And once again, Sophie Devine only able to play that into the ground and find the cover fielder, her counterpart, Sune Loose. And the win predictor now shows a strong 90% probability for a South African win. The 10% who are voting for New Zealand, even with that single being run. You like to gamble, eh? And slowly but surely, it's now increased to 12 and over. 87 off 44. And going down the track, and that has to count as a mis-stumping, really, from the wicketkeeper, Yafta, who's had a terrific game so far. And I think her teammates know just how important that was. Completely missing it, but Yafta unable to gather it cleanly. And Jensen survives. And the next ball is played all the way down to the onside. Mid-wicket will prevent anything more than a single. 4 off that over. New Zealand are 47 for 5. And they need 86 runs from 42 balls. And you could tell that Sune Loose was also disappointed because she would have wanted to see a 6th wicket fall. I think New Zealand are probably going to try to look to get through these overs without losing too many more wickets. But very classical, powerful left arm action there from Chloe Tryon. She definitely has a powerful delivery. And could that be a run out? It's all going completely wrong for New Zealand. The South African fielders are absolutely confident and cock a hoop. I wonder if the batsman has gone all the way back to the pavilion already. Oh, that is just some dreadful stuff, really, for New Zealand. A run out. Shouldn't really be a need for the third umpire to check that. And it is Maddie Jensen who's gone. Haley Jensen, I should say. And even with the captain Sophie Devine out there. It really should now be all over, bar the shouting. And the new batsman who bowled well today, Leah Tahuhu, has now come out to the crease looking very glum indeed. I suppose in many ways that single had to be taken because Devine had to get back on strike. 14 runs, the top scorer in the innings. But at least she's been able to play well. But there should be a single, a collision there between the two fielders. The captain, Suni Luce, and Nadine de Klerk. Needs to be careful a bit. And a shout for an LBW, and that could be gone. Well, Chloe Tryon is emerging as a candidate for man of the match. And will Devine look to... well, apparently she's opted for the review, but I think she knows the truth. It is all falling to pieces for the White Ferns right now. Claire Polasak has come in, pitched perfectly in line, going on straight, hitting her plum. And the only thing that can save the New Zealand captain right now is a possible edge. No edge, gap between bat and ball. This is absolutely... well, as well as Malaba has bowled, this is some absolutely beautiful stuff from Chloe Tryon. And 49 for 7. Need 84 runs from 38 balls. No divine intervention for the Kiwis this time. They are now down the barrel. 84 runs needed from 38 balls. 49 for 7. Not even reaching 50 yet. And it really is all over, bar the shouting. Jess Kerr comes out now. Decent strike rate of 104. But a lower order batter for a reason. 2 deliveries left from Tryon's over. Play and a miss through to the wicketkeeper. Brilliant piece of fielding from Kaka there. And that is played all the way down to the mid-off fielder. Not a very pretty sight at all. 49 runs off 14 overs at exactly 3.5. And 84 needed from 36 balls. 14 and over. The bowlers are right on top. Mlaba and Kaka have 1 over left each. Tryon and Cap have 2 each. And you think that they will be entrusted to bowl out the innings. So, who gets off the mark with a single in the air, played all the way down to mid-wicket. Also played down the onside. And of course, that earlier single from Tahu, who brought up New Zealand's 50. A very costly Pyrrhic 50, it must be said. And could that be another LBW? Oh boy. Oh boy. Keeping low. Tahu, who didn't have a clue to how to play that. All over bar the shouting, really. I cannot believe that New Zealand would review that. I really don't know what to say at this point. At least she's done better than Zadenhout and Bates. And now the off-spinner Eden Carson's coming out to play. And she will be on strike to Mlaba in her final over. 3 deliveries left. And you would sense that with this loss, New Zealand will need to put in 2 magnificent performances to even try and keep afloat with regard to the run rate. But their batting so far has looked completely all at sea. Played well enough, back to the bowler. And playing across that. And they knew. They just knew. Carson gets off the mark with a single. Do they take the second? No, they don't. Little celebration there, and the ladies Springboks are in fact delighted. And that is nicely played to the onside, but again, that will be no more than a single. And Mlaba finishes her 4 overs with 3 wickets for 10. Brilliant, brilliant spell indeed. And after 15 overs, New Zealand 53 for 8. $16 and over. 2 wickets left. And the spinners have really done the damage for South Africa. Tryon back into the attack. And the first ball is played and missed by Jess Kerr. And it's not conventional left arm spin. It's sort of either going straight on or moving back in. So this is really good stuff from Chloe Tryon. As a left spinner, you want to have the ball which goes away, but also can get it to go back in. And of course, the vicious arm ball is something that batsmen really, really dread playing. But that is a beautiful shot from Jess Kerr that pierces the cover fielders, goes through to the boundary for 4. And some muted applause there. And it's really between those two fielders that New Zealand have been able to get get their boundaries. And once again, the offside field has done its job magnificently. Credit to Sune Luce for her fielding placements. Going down the track and decides to hit over the spinner and only succeeds in finding Sune Luce at the boundary, who fields it for a single. Two balls left in this over from Chloe Tryon. And that is nicely tossed up, but also played very well indeed to the onside for another single, bringing Jess Kerr back on strike. 34 for 4 in the middle overs is not good reading. Neither is 19 for 4 in the power play. Helped onto the onside, and that really should be no more than a single, and that will keep Jess Kerr back on strike. So a little mini landmark. New Zealand are now 60 for 8 after 16 overs. They need 73 runs from 24 balls. Now up to 18 and over. 3 sixes. Well, he's gone down the track, but there should be a fielder over there, and the long-on fielder, Nadine de Klerk, does her job. Delmy Tucker back into the attack, and she has 2 overs left. Play and a miss there, straight to the wicketkeeper. Eden Carson now has to try to survive these next few deliveries. And that is played back down the ground. Once again, straight to the mid-on fielder, de Klerk. And once again, back down the ground, played down by Jess Kerr, but again, another single. And although this certainly won't affect the result, these are irritating runs for South Africa to concede. Yep. Again, played nicely to the mid-wicket area, and that will be yet another single. Last ball, again played to the onside. Do they go for a single? No, they don't, and that means that once again, Jess Kerr will be back on strike. So after 17 overs, New Zealand are 64 for 8. $65 for 8, I should say. And they need another 68 runs from 18 deliveries. Well, the home fans wanted a response, and they've certainly gotten it. Damn these mosquitoes. There's Shabnim Ismail back into the attack. So Chloe Tryon probably might not get to complete her overs, or will she? I don't know. Right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Jessica, and she's bowled her. Well, she didn't do too badly, but completely playing across the line. And that is really the shot of someone who knows that the game is up, did as well as she could, and really was hampered by some pretty poor batting around her. 68 runs from 17 balls. A boundary off every ball could still do it. Being mischievous there, really. It is, in fact, the left arm spinner, Jonas. Also a right-handed batsman, just like Tryon, Fran Jonas. And that isn't played too badly. Dug out reasonably well, but again finds the fielder. Scrambled seam position. Batsman playing across the line. Beaten all ends up. Should be all over now, bar the shouting, really. And so Shabnim Ismail has now gone up to 117 wickets for South Africa in T20 internationals, with Marizan Kapp on 68 and Sune Luce on 49 and Ayabonga Kaka on 41. Brilliant servant for South Africa. And that shot certainly didn't look too bad, but again, it only found the fielder. It's the left arm spinners who have definitely done the damage. Boundaries being very few and far between. Mostly in singles and a few twos and threes. Not much else. Certainly a good win, this, for South Africa. Again, they wanted a response, the crowd, from that loss, and they've gotten it. But it will remain to be seen how they perform against Australia. Bangladesh should be a more than decent proposition, though, as I've said earlier. Last ball of the 18th over. Reasonably well defended. And after 18 overs, New Zealand is 66 for 9. And needs 67 runs from 12 balls. I suppose the reason why I've become a bit silenced now is because in cricket, nobody likes to see one-sided clashes, really, and it really hinged down, boiled down rather, to Sunelus winning the toss and deciding to bat first without any hesitation. Sophie Devine, of course, saying that she would have done the same thing. And misfields and drop catches from New Zealand have cost them. Marizanne Kapp with the first ball of the 19th over. And it's been called a wide. So Fran Jonas coming in at number 11. Is happy to sort of smile at that. And that's because she knows that New Zealand have at the very least crossed the halfway point of their target. And that's as good as it would get for them. Marizanne Kapp cleaning up. And this is the story. New Zealand 67 all out after 18.1 overs. An emphatic win indeed. And so, a very emphatic win by 65 runs. A great day in the field for Sunelus and her team. Handshakes all around. New Zealand knew that they were outclassed by the better team on the day. And obviously, we will look to hear from a few of the players. I'm almost tempted to end this stream, but I'm sure Hanno will want to come back and stay away. I mean, not stay away. He will obviously want to come back and have his say on what was a fine performance. And like I said, South Africa needed to have a response, and they got it. And as for New Zealand, a bad start has just gotten even worse. We're going to find out how their run rate has been affected, but clearly, once again, the scoreboard does not make for good reading. Only 3 players getting to double figures, including the captain, Sophie Devine, a couple of second ball ducks at the top of the innings, 3 scores of 7, and no one really able to get to grips with the spinning ball and the ball keeping low in those conditions. 3 wickets for Mlaba of her 4 overs. Tyron with 2 for 12 off her 3, certainly a candidate for player of the match. Marizanne Kapp ending proceedings by comprehensively bowling Fran Jonas. Shabnim Ismail getting a wicket of her own. Kaka with a wicket of her own and a brilliant run out. And New Zealand's poor tournament has just gotten worse. A good recovery, of course, from South Africa to get to 132 for 6 after at one point being 70-odd for 5. Chloe Tryon and Nadine de Klerk coming together with a partnership of 47. And New Zealand will be left to rue. A lot of drop catches and missed fields, despite some really good spin bowling and seam bowling from their side. And mercifully for New Zealand, this is only their second lowest total in T20 internationals. The lowest, of course, being 60 against England in 2015, 69 again against England in 2015, that same year, and 76 against Australia in this very tournament. And so a lot of work will need to be done. The White Ferns are in dire straits. And so we should have some commentary, I think. I mean, some comments right now from one of the players, maybe. We're going to find out who will be speaking, and it's good to see Danny van Neerkerk with no ill feelings towards her teammates coming and celebrating with them. So, handling her mission from the squad quite magnificently indeed. So South Africa have recovered and they've improved their run rate, and we are with the player of the match. It is Chloe Tryon, and she will receive her trophy and speak right. Yeah, and it was Chloe Tryon who ended up being a player of the match for her recovery innings of 40, and for those two important wickets with her rather powerful left arm spin. And it was really the left arm spinners, Tryon and Blubber, who did a lot of the damage, and the seamers backed them up admirably. Some terrific fielding as well. As for New Zealand, well, they just looked all out of sorts at times with the bat. With the ball, they certainly tried their best, but just couldn't, back up their excellent work with the ball with some proper fielding. And now with a net run rate of negative 4.05, it will be difficult to see where they go from here. South Africa's run rate has improved to 1.55 in the positive. So you think that they would have more of a chance now of doing well. But again, South Africa will be up against it when they take on Australia, who certainly look imperious right now. But for now, the South Africans can enjoy a very comprehensive win, terrific performance from everyone involved. And very soon we should hear from both the captains. Sophie Devine obviously will be very disappointed and dismayed. There was no divine intervention for her team today. And one wonders where they can go from here. They're probably going to look to try to fill their boots if possible against Bangladesh, but the New Zealand-Sri Lanka game is definitely going to be a must-win for them too. So, although it isn't hard to look beyond, I mean, you certainly can't look beyond Australia qualifying, but second place in the group is still up for grabs. So South Africa is still very much in it. They will need to beat Australia, though. And certainly this tournament is shaping up quite nicely with a few more games being played in each group. And England certainly look to be very imperious in Group 2 with their second win. They outclassed the West Indies, and I'm not sure they would have been very happy with losing to, not losing as many wickets as they did in the chase against Ireland, but it is still 2 wins from 2 games. And further analysis of the group, if we take a look and see the Um, Just going to take a look at the tables right now and see where the teams stand. We have the short tables on one page, but we're going to take a look at the full table right now. So in Group 1, Sri Lanka are on top with a net run rate of 0.4, but Australia still have to play their second game against Bangladesh, and they will certainly look to try to fill their boots. South Africa have improved their run rate, as has been said earlier, while New Zealand are down in the dumps with a net run rate of negative 4.05 and 2 defeats. And they will need some really, really big performances, although, in all honesty, it's very hard to see how that bad net run rate can be salvaged. England's record at the moment is played 2-1-2, net run rate of 0.25 almost. India women have won their match, of course, and they're second, and that clash between India and England will definitely be a classic. I believe India will go into this match with quite a bit of confidence, as will England. And Pakistan, Ireland, and the West Indies have each lost a game. And the run rates for Ireland and the West Indies don't look too good, but they can perhaps be salvaged, although it could take a great deal of hard work. And we are back now at the Boland Oval, and we should get to hear from the two captains any minute now. So, a contrast in emotions from both the captains. Sophie Devine from New Zealand telling it like it is. It was embarrassing, and all that they could possibly do was try to go away and really make some harsh calls and leave all emotions aside. Certainly, there are quite a few players in that much vaunted New Zealand batting lineup who didn't stand up to make themselves counted. There will be some changes made, one would imagine, for New Zealand's next game. And whether that will be against Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, it will certainly be of major importance that those changes are made and that the mistakes that they made today will not be repeated. And of course, to be bowled out for 63 and 73 and now 67, a total of 140 runs in just 2 innings, simply not good enough. And I think everyone, all of them, will have to take a hard look at themselves. And not much of a mention of the poor fielding, but she was quite happy with the bowling. Certainly, Eden Carson shining as well as she did, bowling some tough overs and some terrific deliveries. Such a shame she wasn't backed up well, but those are the only few positives. As for Sune Luce, well, she was grateful to the crowd and bounced back brilliantly. Spin to win seems to be the mantra, and it was pretty much in full force today with the left armers, Mlaba and Tyrone, doing a heck of a lot of damage, really, with 5 wickets between them. But the seamers also backed them up very well. Marizan Kapp, Aya Kaka, and Shabnim Ismail. And there was another run out too. So South Africa were just on point. They were at the races. New Zealand was simply outclassed, outfought, and outwitted. And a lot of work will need to be done for them to see if they can try and get back into contention. In this same group, the next games to be played, we're going to take a look at the schedule to see what games are indeed remaining. And tomorrow, Valentine's Day, it will in fact be just the one game, Australia against Bangladesh, and that is going to be played in the city of Gqeberha. I'm sorry if I've horribly mispronounced that. And that is, of course, set to take place at, I want to say, 7 o'clock local time, 10:30 p.m., obviously, India time. And then, of course, on the 15th of February, attention goes back to Group 2, where India will take on the West Indies and Ireland will take on Pakistan in a double header. And those matches are being played, both of them in Cape Town. And first match will be at 3 o'clock South Africa time, 6:30 p.m. India, 1 p.m. UK. And the second match, of course, 5 p.m. UK, 7 p.m. South Africa, and 10:30 p.m. here in India. So the action is hotting up, and by this halfway stage, we could basically find out now where certain teams stand in the group. So by Wednesday, all 5 teams will have played 2 matches each. And so once again, I want to thank all of you who've joined in. Obviously, with the game being so one-sided, it was really not much of a game that you would want to fondly remember. And all those of you who've commented, Chelsea fan, Hashim, Mystic Werewolf, and of course, Mr. Trollope. I think he can have the last word. South Africa, poor New Zealand, and South Africa. So South Africa is certainly back on track. New Zealand look down and out. Will they recover? It will remain to be seen. And the final word, of course, South Africa women winning this match by 65 runs, improving their run rate and their record. And how they play their next few games will remain to be seen. In fact, if we take a look at the schedule for the South African women, 18th of February on the Saturday, that will be a crunch game from Gqeberha. the second match of a doubleheader, another crunch match between England and India on that same day. Certainly two top-class games, which people wouldn't want to miss. It's such a shame that there will be Premiership football on that day. But it is what it definitely is, and it cannot really be helped. But we will certainly bring you as much coverage as we can of these games. And then, of course, Pakistan and the West Indies and New Zealand and Sri Lanka will do battle in Group 1. This game between New Zealand and Sri Lanka will be a must-win game for the White Ferns. That is their final game in the group, because on Friday, they play Bangladesh, hoping to try to fill their boots, score as much runs as they can, and improve their run rate, and leave themselves with everything to do against Sri Lanka. And the tournament, of course, will be getting over on the 26th of February. So as I've said, we will bring you more coverage of the T20 Cricket World Cup as and when it happens, as much as we possibly can. If there won't be any ball-by-ball coverage, there will be, of course, reviews and analysis from Hanno and myself and a few others. And we're always happy to try to bring you coverage of this sport, which is a huge passion and pastime back in South Africa and also in England and in India. And definitely something to look forward to. Something which I'm sure will be enjoyed by many people who have commented so far in the chat. For now, though, once again, as always, thank you all for joining in. And from the Coach's Corner and myself, this is me, Mani Thangadurai, saying that we are out, and we will see you on the next broadcast. Take care of yourselves.